CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Off the top, almost 24 hours after a comedian made comments at a Donald Trump rally about Puerto Rico, reactions have not stopped pouring in. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor joins us from Wynwood, where people are responding.
So we came to this Puerto Rican restaurant in Wynwood called El Bajareque. And while people were eating, the talk among Boricuas, which is how Puerto Ricans call themselves, was precisely what this comedian said at the Madison Square Garden at a rally for former President Donald Trump.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there.
I think that the Trump campaign must have known in advance what everybody was going to say on that stage. And they knew the jokes, and they approved them beforehand. So I don't think this was unexpected for the campaign. And now that they see the reaction from the public and what are the stakes in terms of losing voters, they're trying to retract and issuing a statement.
The Trump campaign senior advisor issued a statement on Monday saying, quote, "This joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign." Republican local elected officials are also reacting to this. Coming up by 5 p.m., more reactions, including that from the comedian. Plus, will this affect the Latino vote? 5 p.m. CBS News Miami. I'm Yvonne Taylor in Wynwood. Back to you.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And taking a live look outside, a nice fallish day across South Florida. Hopefully the rain holds off for all the Halloween fun. Next Weather Chief Meteorologist and Hurricane Specialist Ivan Cabrera joins us with what to expect.
Yeah, just a few breezy showers. I think we can manage those. Coverage about 20% over the next few days. A lot of cloud cover today. We have clouds coming in on the low side here from east to west, and then these high-level clouds streaming in from the Gulf, making it a mostly cloudy-looking day, right? Still tracking a few showers, and they're screaming in from the Atlantic, moving rather quickly here, so not going to amount to much in the way of any rainfall accumulation here, but a few that we've been tracking here. This one pushing west at 95 out towards the Village Park. Tamarack will about get that shower. We have one moving through Southwest Ranches and Weston. That is now gone over to the west side, and we're looking good for the rest of the evening. I think 10% coverage as everything begins to wind down. Temperatures have come down. We hit the low to mid 80s earlier this afternoon, but now back into the mid 80s or back into the low 80s as the cloud cover has just made a comeback here. So the passing showers will continue the next few days. The gusty winds, those are going to return tomorrow. I think it'll be breezy and then downright windy for Wednesday. A little bit better though for Halloween, and we still have one disturbance not going to affect us, but National Hurricane Center is following that in the western Caribbean over the next few days. So for us tomorrow, still on the breezy side. We're looking windy for Wednesday as we turn a little bit stronger. The wind gusts 30 to 35 miles an hour, so we may get a wind advisory from the National Weather Service. The wind's coming down a little bit. It's still going to be breezy, especially in the afternoons for Thursday and Friday, with isolated rain showers. And this pattern's not going anywhere with this northeast wind, big area of high pressure to the north. So for the upcoming weekend, I still think more of the same. Some gusty winds and also some passing showers. That'll about do it. We're kind of stuck in this setup here. In the tropics, again, the area we're watching, 40% chance of development here. That would be across the western Caribbean, but it tends to move towards the east here with some of the models. I don't think this is going to impact our weather certainly here, and it has, again, a medium chance of developing over the next few days. We'll continue to watch it for you. On the beach for tomorrow, the rip currents continue on the high side. That is because the winds are going to get rather strong as well. And with that easterly component to the wind, we're going to keep a high risk for rip currents. Temperatures for tomorrow in the mid 80s. Your 7-day forecast will take us through Halloween. Not looking bad at all. A little breezy there for the trick-or-treaters on Thursday. And then remember, heading into the weekend, we gain an hour of sleep Saturday night. We lose an hour of daylight by Sunday with that sunset coming up rather early as well. Naja.
All right, Ivan, thank you. Now at 4, detectives are investigating the death of a man. His body found floating in a canal in North Miami Beach. Chopper 4 over the area after that deadly discovery this morning. This is off South Glades Drive. Police have not released that man's name. We are a little more than a week away from Election Day, and Florida voters are not only selecting a president, but there are also several issues on the ballot. One of them, Amendment 3, would legalize marijuana. CBS News Miami's Terry Hornstein is in Coral Gables. She has the message to voters from both sides.
Hey, Naja, yeah, we saw dueling press conferences about this amendment today. One of them right here at the Biltmore Hotel. And both sides brought out some very big South Florida names to discuss the pros and the cons of it.
I admit I smoked pot when I was like 21 years old.
Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush says he smoked marijuana in the past, but is adamant Amendment 3 is not a good idea for the state.
It was not nearly as potent as it is now.
In Coral Gables, the former governor, former Congresswoman Donna Shalala, and other leaders joined together Monday to lay out why they don't support the marijuana amendment.
If we care about our kids, we'll oppose Amendment 3. It affects people's brains. It affects their ability to work.
Right now, marijuana is only legal for medicinal use in Florida. Amendment 3 would change that. If it passes, it would be legal for personal use for anyone 21 years or older.
This is a win-win for the state.
In Hollandale Beach, supporters also coming out Monday, including Senators Chevron Jones and Joe Gruters. The group making the rounds at True Leaf stores across the state. They argue making the change will be a positive.
Don't buy into the misinformation the other side is feeding everyone.
Proponents say it will bring more money to the state, but not everyone agrees.
We're going to have $100 to $450 million more a year in recurring revenue.
It's bad for business. Florida's on a roll economically. The pitch that somehow this is going to generate revenue, I think, is wrong.
Both sides passionate and trying to rally voters with just 8 days left until Election Day.
This is good for Florida. We will be able to regulate it, and this will be a win.
This is a disaster for Florida.
Yeah, and as you heard there, contention on both sides of this debate here. This amendment, one of the more controversial ones on the ballot. And voters have until next Tuesday, so a week from tomorrow, to decide what they think and whether or not this amendment should pass. We have much more on Amendment 3 and all of the amendments, and there are 6 of them on our website, cbsmiami.com. In Coral Gables, Terry Hornstein, CBS News, Miami.
Early voting is still underway for us here in South Florida. You can vote early through Sunday in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. In Monroe, early voting ends Saturday. A woman shot in Oakland Park is now also facing charges. She's accused of being involved in a burglary at the time. The Broward Sheriff's Office says it happened yesterday morning on Northeast 13th Terrace. Deputies say when they got to the scene, they found the woman hurt. She was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and was later arrested. Investigators are trying to figure out what caused a boat explosion in Dania Beach that killed a man. The family tells us that Benjamin Berestovoy died when the boat he was working on exploded. It happened at the Nautical Ventures Marina Friday afternoon. 4 other men were also hurt. Officials say the men were putting fuel in the boat at the time of that explosion. When we come back, a terror attack under investigation. That's as the crisis in the Middle East seems to be escalating. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Now to the crisis in the Middle East. Israel launched a wave of airstrikes against military targets in Iran. The Israeli military says it has now completed its mission, but tensions remain high. CBS News Miami's Rami Incencio reports from Tel Aviv.
Booms over Tehran as Israel's airstrikes met Iran's air defenses.
We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran.
Under Israel's military headquarters in Tel Aviv, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu monitored. The IDF said it hit Iranian surface-to-air missile systems and missile production sites. Whoever hurts us, we hurt him, said Netanyahu on Sunday. Israel's strikes were retaliation for Iran's attack on October 1st. When it launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles. The Zionists have made a miscalculation, said Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. We must make them understand. Danny Citrinowicz is an Israeli national security expert on Iran.
Do you think this Israel-Iran back and forth is over?
The bottom line is, even we don't know whether back and forth of that or the tit for tat will end, but I think that towards the future, obviously, I think there will be probably there will be other rounds between both countries.
Avoiding a regional war, he says, rests on ending Israel's operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon and its conflict with Hamas in Gaza. IDF strikes killed more than 80 people over the weekend, according to Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry, where Israeli troops raided one of the last functioning hospitals and struck a school-turned-shelter for the second time in a week. The IDF maintains Hamas uses civilian infrastructure to hide fighters and weapons. If Gaza is not resolved, Israel's second retaliation against Iran in 6 months could be a harbinger of things to come.
How close did we get to the wider regional war that we've been fearing?
I can say that we are closer than ever.
And CIA Director Bill Burns is back in Qatar to try to restart talks between Israel and Hamas. Egypt has proposed a 2-day ceasefire and the release of 4 Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners. And that would at least be a start. Ramy Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
You can own a piece of rock and roll history. That's for a price. The guitar George Harrison played more than 300 times with the Beatles from 1959 to 1964 is one of the featured items hitting the auction block next month. It could fetch $600,000 to $800,000.
It's our second annual played, worn and torn auction. Over 860 items going on the auction block.
The auction is expected to bring in up to $4 million. It will be held online and live in Nashville on November 20th and 21st. How cool. That's your CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami and have a fantastic day.